Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to today's DevOps.com webinar, brought to you by Techstrong and Yugabyte. My name is Cody J. Brown. I'm the host of Techstrong Learning. We have an exciting presentation ahead, but first I have just a couple of housekeeping notes. First off, today's session is being recorded, so if you miss any of our discussion or you'd like to just rewatch or share with a friend, the on-demand recording will be made available shortly after we conclude our live webinar today. If you have any questions, we want you to submit those using the Q&A tab on the right side of the screen. And feel free to use the chat tab to engage with the rest of our attendees and with our speakers as well. We do have a poll in today's webinar, so keep an eye out for that as we want your participation. And we've also included a couple of handouts in the Handouts tab to assist with today's webinar. Finally, at the conclusion of today's event, we will be giving away 4 $25 Amazon gift cards, so be sure to stick around. So on to our topic, we'll be discussing building an elastic, resilient data layer to power new retail experiences. And I'm joined today by Michael Haag, Director of Product Marketing at Yugabyte, and Ame Bernars, Vice President of Data Engineering at Yugabyte. Michael and Ame, thank you both so much for being here with me today. I'm going to give you the floor.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cody, and a big welcome to everyone. We are thrilled that you could join us today, whether live or catching up on the replay. As Cody mentioned, my name is Michael Haag. I lead the product marketing team at Yugabyte, and we're the company behind Yugabyte DB, the open source distributed SQL database for building global cloud-native applications. Now, I'm really excited to be here to moderate this discussion today. As Cody mentioned, what we want to do today is examine some of the top business priorities facing retail companies, grocers, and then more importantly, really get into a good discussion on some of the insights and tips that we've learned from our customers on how a modern distributed database can help tackle those business priorities and really focus on things like accelerating application modernization and help those digital transformation efforts that we're all focusing on. Now, to help share those insights today, I'm thrilled to be joined, to have a co-presenter with me today, have an expert online. So I have the great pleasure of welcoming Ame Bernars, who leads the global field engineering team at Yugabyte. A big welcome to you today, Ame. Maybe can you take a quick second, share a few words about your background and role?
Absolutely, Michael. Thank you. And Cody, thanks for hosting us as well on this DevOps.com webinar. So folks, again, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world and joining us. My name is Ame Bernars. As Michael introduced me, I lead the global field engineering team here in Yugabyte. So think of us as customer-facing engineers who help our customers basically do digital transformation from like their legacy architectures to modern cloud-native architectures as well. And in that process, we help them recreating their data pipelines, doing some more optimizations to their app and web experiences as well, so that they can go focus on their customers and business and essentially help their businesses grow as well. We do that with our product called Yugabyte DB, which is a distributed SQL database, helps you with scalable and resilient data tier as well. And more importantly, it helps you grow your businesses in wherever your focus is on as well. So previously, I've been at Yugabyte for about 3 years now. Previously, I was at Pivotal. And Pivotal is a company who led the advent of microservices in the Fortune 500 industry as well. So if you're familiar with Spring Boot kind of applications or cloud native, Cloud Foundry kind of applications, then that's what Pivotal did. And essentially helped a lot of retailers, consumer facing companies modernize their entire tech stack and provide those digital experiences to the entire world as well. So with that, Michael, let's get started today. It's going to be an amazing conversation. And folks, we have prepped up really good insights on how retailers and the retail industry can use some of these new digital transformation kind of initiatives as well.
Perfect, Ame. We're definitely going to tap into that expertise. And then I also think we have a demo lined up for a little bit later, right? So we'll actually see the product and get a little bit away from just talking as well, correct?
Absolutely, Michael. And folks,
Awesome.
Again, Yugabyte is an open source company. So you folks can go to your Yugabyte cloud offering and go try it out right after this webinar.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. And before we kind of start to dig into the hard questions, Ame, let me spend 60 seconds just looking at the bigger picture that we see facing the retail industry. Now, this is our viewpoint, but I'm sure for all of you out there that are in the industry or in related fields, hopefully these points resonate with you and help kind of set the stage for what we'll start to dig into as we go through. So as I think about the challenges kind of you face in the retail space and what we're hearing and just the overall state, three big things come to mind as things to come up again and again in today's world. I mean, first and foremost, the industry is in this constant and almost accelerated state of change. While, I mean, digital transformation for the retail industry started well before COVID, we know over the past 2 years, it feels like things have just been slammed into ludicrous speed. Shopper preferences and expectations continue to rapidly change as people embrace these new ways to browse and buy and pay for things. So we've got this constant change going on.
Right.
And then we've kind of in this world where retailers are facing truly global competition, where us as consumers, and we're all guilty of it, we have higher and higher expectations than ever before. The average customer is now more knowledgeable about their choices than ever before. And as they're doing their shopping, they're comparing their choices and their experiences across all different categories. It's no longer a world where you just think about one grocery store versus another, one apparel store versus another. You're really taking your best experiences anywhere and bringing them with you. So if you're doing search on a retailer's website, you expect it to be as good as Google search. If you're pulling up a retailer's app, you expect that UI, that experience to be just as good as what Apple's doing. So again, it's this massive kind of competition across everything anymore. And retailers have to compete not just against, again, that traditional set of competitors, but really against kind of everybody that's out there. For example, I mean, like the checkout experience, you want to be the best everywhere. I mean, for me, I don't know about you on me, but I've become so spoiled with the ability to do Google Pay. So when I shop online, I just click Google Pay. It knows all my information, and I can just check out. If I'm on a website where I have to go find my credit card and figure out where I put my wallet, half the time I just give up. And I'm like, okay, I don't really need this, which is probably for the better because it's usually a late night impulsive buy. But it's amazing. So I don't know if you have any experiences like that where you're kind of just, again, viewing that competition and comparing everybody to everybody anymore.
Yeah. Actually, Michael, that's a great point. I mean, seamless checkout experience is like number one thing for a customer, like, when they're going to a new website, other than like our usual ones like Walmart or Amazon, basically, right? But if you look at the latest trend that's in the industry, in the retail industry specifically for last couple of years, and especially right after the COVID hit, this is now fashion and fast fashion. So essentially, these websites would go, and a classic example is a $100 billion valuation company called Shein out of China, who basically focuses on this, where they go and crawl Instagram for new trends. They mass market produce these items, which are basically like merchandises or like, branded by like the celebrities in the world. And they provide you that instant buy experience through Instagram or their digital native experiences, so that you don't really have to go even check out. Your information is stored there. They know your preferences. They know what you like. It's essentially like, the TikTok style marketing that they do, but for the retail industry. And this is where like, the customers are so used to this kind of approach that the traditional retailers are now faced with huge competition on how they can quickly innovate to get there. And this comes as like, a huge investment in terms of new thinking. That is, how do you provide that data tier? How do you provide that data collection and personalization tier, but at the same time, keeping security and privacy as top of the mind as well? So we're going to talk about some of these today as we see the themes in the retail industry shifting.
Perfect. And I think that's a kind of a perfect segue to that last bucket that we're hearing about. And that's just this overwhelming focus on data and how do we mine and have this data first mentality, because without a doubt, we're seeing those retailers, whether it's, again, traditional retailers or newer competitors, data's at the front of what they're doing. They're mining this data. They're finding a way to differentiate themselves through that data, which is, of course, a perfect segue into kind of why we're here today and really why the retail industry, the grocers are putting such a focus on that data layer, and where new solutions like distributed databases that we're doing on Yugabyte and some of the connected solutions are having such an important role. So, it's kind of we spend a lot of time with a number of retailers. There's some great names that we'll talk through today, household names that we've worked with to help set up our discussion over the next 30 minutes or so. Let's kind of folks first try to kind of set the stage. What are those main 3 to 4 priorities that you're hearing again and again across these different retail companies from retail executives on what we're being asked to solve? Kind of what are the things that they're really being asked to focus on for their business?
Right. So, Michael, I would say our teams are really fortunate to work with, since we are field facing and we work with Fortune 500s as well as Global 2000s, we are fortunate to talk to a lot of large retailers as well as the new retail startups as well, who basically provide these digital experiences to consumers. And us being consumers of this retail industry, we always start thinking about putting ourselves in the customer shoes and seeing what we really want and what can we do to help them achieve their goals and be more cloud native, digital native kind of shopping experience as well. So with that, if you take a look at any retailer or any large retailer or a traditional customer, these are the things that make people really, really appealing to your websites or to your applications, right? First thing is seamless experience while purchasing a product. I mean, if you see a product, you want to buy it, you should be able to go add it to the cart, check it out, get your notifications, get the whole thing delivered to your doorstep, right? This doesn't really work for more than 50% of the time. You see a product which is on offer, you go to checkout, it fails. That's a bad experience. You're going to lose that customer rightly, right? Second thing is fast shipping. That is getting the product in a timely manner as and when it's expected, rather than waiting weeks or months to get that product. Third thing is, let's say I like a deal, which I get it as a notification on my mobile phone, but I go home and try to do more browsing on that one and then or do more research on that one, and then I want to buy it through my laptop. I should have a seamless handoff experience between the devices that I own. And that is actually a key factor, because the retail application in that case should be able to get you that seamless caching experience, making sure your sessions are available across different devices no matter what, and they shouldn't be stale at the same time. That is, the product shouldn't have expired even though I see it sitting in my cart. So if you look at some of the websites like Etsy or Amazon, they have done enough to make sure that your cart stays fresh. They notify you if something is a low inventory on your cart, and those experiences help a customer gain their trust and basically go ahead and make those purchases and be more loyal to this form, to be more loyal to your retail website as well. Michael, should we go on to the next slide and talk about the themes?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Let me pull that up. So perfect.
So in order to deliver those customer needs that I just mentioned, we feel that we hear these 4 key themes all the time from our customers to make sure they're successful and profitable as a business as well. Because remember, retail industry, the margins are very low when you take a look at per item basis. So it all comes through loyalty and repeated customer experiences, and that's where enhancing customer experience becomes a topmost priority. And we're going to tap into that. We're going to talk about how some of the customers that we work with have provided these experiences as well. Second thing is efficiency. That is, how can you be more efficient in terms of purchases, in terms of your overall look and feel of your application, and providing that same efficiency to your internal org as well. So it's an important thing for us to understand that. Third one, or the third theme I would say, is the overall trust, loyalty, and availability. That is, yes, you have people paying for your premium membership, so they trust you for giving you 2-day shipping, fast returns, but you have to be available as well. You need to make sure you're catching up to the trends, providing the same exact experience for these premium set of customers. And the fourth one is modernization. That is how you can embrace modernizations to take a look from a giant refrigerator style POS checkout boxes to more lightweight, to more serverless kind of options as well, as the industry is shifting toward that paradigm. So we're going to tap into modernization bucket and actually talk about our experiences on how we are helping some of the largest retailers in the world through digital transformation and modernization today.
Yeah, that's perfect, Amit. I think this is kind of a perfect framework to kind of really go through our discussion today. As we kind of go through the next 25 minutes, we'll kind of peel back each of these 4. But before that, again, I want to pull the audience in here a little bit, our live audience here today, and just want to throw out a quick poll to you. So as you look at these 4 priorities, give us your reaction. Which of these are top priorities for you? Or if you have another one, definitely add that into the chat. So I'm going to throw open the poll here. Take a quick second. Yeah, think through these. What is your, as probably IT leaders in your organization, where are you spending your energies? Is it on that experiences? Is it you've got to get your business more efficient and focus on that bottom line dollar? Is it again the fear of getting kind of called out for not being secure and having a data stolen and kind of from a trust standpoint? Or is it just that overall modernization bucket? And to me, that last one, we'll talk about this a little bit later. Definitely modernization is kind of, could be an umbrella one, but it has a slightly different feel that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So I'm seeing the numbers come in. It looks like 70% so far voting on number one, those experiences, which is not a surprise at all. Let's see, we'll give it 10 more seconds. So folks out there, give us your thoughts. Or if there's another, definitely let us know in the chat. Keep it interactive. All right, we're seeing embrace modernization jump up a little bit. All right, we'll keep the poll going for anyone else out there. But yeah, so enhanced experiences seems to be at least the leader here. So let's start there, Ambe. That's our number one. It seems to be top of mind. So let's catch you while people are fresh. So
perfect.
For me, as someone, I enjoy shopping online. And in person more than maybe I should. I don't know about you, Ambe, but every night before trash day, I spend probably 15 minutes cutting cardboard boxes and shoving them into my recycling bin. More than I should.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself one day I'll just start collecting boxes and giving them to my kids so they can build a giant fort in the backyard, and it'll probably overwhelm our real house. So I understand experiences. We all do as customers. So maybe kind of the question to you then, just to dig into this more, is, bringing this back to the data layer. What role does data and the database play in helping retailers provide better experiences and differentiate themselves against their competitors?
Yeah. Actually, before I answer that, going back to the trash day, it takes me more than an hour sometimes to take those large boxes and cut them down. And then at least in the peninsula area, they are very strict about making sure it's cut in the right way, and then only they pick it up. So again, it comes back to customer experiences. Yes, we've made it so easy for us to go shop online, return the process, but it comes down to how can these retailers provide that experience? And the backend for that is usually the data tier. So data is considered usually the last frontier in terms of modernization. But if you want to accelerate delivery of your new services, that is, bring new experiences to the market, it starts with putting together the right modern data tier. That is, having a distributed database really helps you for achieving scale and resiliency. At the same time, you should have a very robust data pipeline to load high throughput, low latency style data, and making sure you're able to accelerate productivity for your developers to go quickly, get through the new features in a very reduced complexity and operational overhead as well. So that becomes one of the most important thing for any new architect who's working on this retail use case, in making sure that they're able to provide that kind of experience to the end customer. The second thing is, if you look at the trends now, right, between Instagram, TikTok, and few other social media outlets who have now started to encroach the retail space by providing that buy button or the experience, they are doing that with aggressive marketing combined with the use of really solid computer science algorithms. That is, they go scan the social media for micro trends. They enable brands to cut down their production to as low as few days. So gone are the days where the brands and the designers going to sit down for a month or so and then mass produce something. These new applications are collecting data on users, making sure that they're tailoring the experiences based on what user really wants to see. So that basically comes with you need a very solid, scalable, and a resilient data tier to meet that level of data collection that you're doing for the industry as well. And the third thing is, if you want to deliver a very seamless checkout and a shopping cart experience, you need to make sure that your data is resilient even in case of failures. And we're going to take a look at some of these experiences and how larger cloud outages or even natural disasters like a snowstorm have affected large retailers, but we have helped them become way too resistant or resilient to such scenarios as well. So there's one experience that comes to my mind actually. One of our very large customer, and this is Kroger, which is based in Midwest. And if you take a look at Kroger is actually a grocery conglomerate. That is, they own about 30 different grocery chains, started as a Midwest outfit, but has grown across 48 states in the United States. And Kroger is a great example of a company that recognized the trade-offs. That is, the trade-offs they were making with the ancient architecture, legacy architecture, and in order to make or remain competitive in the modern retail world, Kroger committed to this massive digital transformation initiative. That is, they basically changed the motto of the company. They said, you know what, we're going to do with lead with fresh and accelerate with digital. And they started their journey by basically shifting to a data-centric initiative with the biggest focus in this whole thing on the data tier itself. That is, they're like, let's take a look at how do I provide these omni-channel experiences or omni-channel services, as they call it, to my end customers? How do I deal with peak seasonal spikes when it comes to Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend and a whole rush in their physical store as well as online presence to go buy certain set of products? And they basically ended up helping them with a very cloud neutral, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud strategy. So Kroger set their ambition back in 2018, 2019 days to modernize their entire tech stack, deliver these new customer experiences, and adopt this multi-cloud strategy. And Yugabyte DB is the backbone for that in helping them do shopping registry, shopping wish list, shopping cart kind of experiences. And now we have taken more than 20 new microservices to work with them to modernize their entire tech stack for that whole thing. And this provides them a single database platform to go be more scalable and be more resilient, and most importantly, being operationally efficient as well. So they don't need to hire whole bunch of DBA teams to manage this database platform. Yugabyte was fortunate enough to be born in a cloud native container era. So we ensured that all the database reliability engine techniques are built into the product. So you can scale up and scale down on the peak demands. You're able to handle millions of ops per second on a peak day, come back to 100,000 ops per second in matter of minutes. And that's the experience that Yugabyte Cloud also provides you. So Michael, I hope this case study helps our audience. Again, folks, if you have any questions, put it on the chat. Happy to answer any of the questions when it comes to Kroger's strategy as well.
Yeah, and I know that's a great one. As they really embrace this idea of starting at that data layer again. As I talk to a lot of customers and think about it, it's like people are spending a lot of time on app modernization. They're spending a lot of time on cloud infrastructure and revamping their infrastructure.
Right.
But the data layer sits in between those two. And if you don't have if you're not also modernizing that layer, then anything you do at the app layer, anything you do at the cloud layer, you're just you're bottlenecked. You're missing a lot of the great benefits. And Kroger's a great example of taking that mentality of that data layer first. So great, Dama. You talked a lot about the customer experience, which of course top of mind for everybody. But I know a lot of the leading retailers we talk to, there's another key stakeholder that is important to IT as well, and that's the worker experience, the frontline worker. What are you kind of hearing about what retailers are doing for the frontline workers and that angle as well?
Actually, that's a great point, Michael. And when we as consumers think about our life should be easier for getting the product quickly and adapting to the new trends, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are workers who are helping us stack up those products and provide that experiences to us with a very hard set of jobs and working hours. Take a look at Thanksgiving Day deliveries, right? There are customers or there are retailers who did same day delivery during Thanksgiving days. So the workers, the pressure on them has to be really, really solid to do that. So if you take a look at one other case study, right? That is, we met with Kohls, and the CTO and the chief supply chain officer for Kohls, that is Paul Gaffney, who's actually an industry veteran when it comes to the way retailers are thinking and adopting this digital native experiences. And he said it really well. That is, he's worker experience is equally important as well. So we have this basically a fireside chat with Sudha and Paul Gaffney that was recorded about a year ago, where Paul went over why worker experience was really, really important for Kohls as well. And the goal was to make workers more efficient so that they spend time with customers in the stores, helping them, advising them the product to be bought, as opposed to just racking and stacking all the warehouses with all the stuff you have and doing an inventory count as well. So when you look at Kohls is actually one of the best thing when it comes to always looking for new ways to run their stores more economically, but at the same time giving customers that awesome in-store experience as well. Even today, you can walk into Kohls store and return your Amazon products. That's a huge deal. But that's also possible because they invested in these technologies. The real role of technology here was to make associates or the workers' life much easier so they can spend more time in frontline as opposed to backroom tasks, and enabling high quality engagement with their business needs as well. So very strategic again, and they are leveraging technology in the best possible way to making sure that even the working experience in Kohls is like seamless, not just a customer experience as well. Again, folks, if you're interested in this topic, we have like about an hour or so that we had a conversation with Paul. There's a link out here that Michael is presenting on the slide. You folks can go and watch this as well.
Perfect, Tommy. So I agree. I mean, customer experience is top of mind for us all. The frontline experiences directly helps that as we make them more efficient, they can spend more time with the end customer, which is critical. So let's jump into then our second topic. Again, customers front and center for retailers, but again, it's at the bottom of the line. It's a business. Your executive team out there is going to be looking at the bottom line, looking at profitability, and that directly goes back to how efficiently can you do this? How efficiently can you run your business, deliver services and stuff? So let's jump into this second topic. And as we think about the role that the database plays in retailers, how can a modern solution help increase the efficiency and help drive up those overall profits and that ever important margins that people look at in retailers?
Right. Yeah. And Michael, this is a very important thing because as I mentioned earlier, a lot of time retails happens to be like, a low margin business. If you're taking a look at only one product or a set of products at a time. So most profitability comes from repeat businesses, loyal customer base, and more importantly, having a very good handle on the total cost of ownership when it comes to the modern data layer and modern data architectures as well. And this is where, again, as a core decision that Yugabyte's founders took in making sure that we build this scalable, resilient database tier, we ensured that all of our product is 100% open source so that it can it can benefit from the community and the innovation that our customers and users bring to the table. But more importantly, we are able to prove it to any customer executives that, the total cost of ownership with such a cloud native database is extremely low compared to the giants monolith style databases like the red logos and the blue logos of the world as well, right? I want to basically answer this question, Michael, that you threw at me with a customer example again. So if you take a look at one of the customers that we work with, that is Narvar. And for the folks here who don't know Narvar, think about any retail online shopping experience you have gone through, Walmart, Kohls, Home Depot, the Gap, the Nikes of the world. The products basically, as soon as you do a checkout and you submit the order, and from that time onwards until the order is delivered to your doorstep, the entire experience is handled by this one company called Narvar. So they provide this personalization platform wherein as soon as the order and delivery is completed and it's fulfilled, the entire tracking, the notification, the personalized email messages that you get or mobile notifications you get is all handled by Narvar. So as you can imagine, Narvar is tasked with helping these 800 odd retailers and huge brands of the world to meet their SLA when it comes to order fulfillment. But more importantly, doing that at a very low cost of total cost of ownership. So when we started working with Narvar back in 2018, they presented a problem that, managing this whole set of data tier on Amazon Web Services was hard enough, between DynamoDB and Elastic Cache and Aurora and RDS. So we helped them consolidate those set of solutions into one single Yugabyte DB. As you know, Yugabyte DB provides two developer-friendly APIs. That is, we have a relational Postgres-compatible API or a non-relational or a semi-relational Cassandra-compatible API. So you can pick and choose based on your use cases what you want to consume. For a high throughput, low latency JSON-B style use cases, people go with the Cassandra API. If you have a data model which is more relational and you want to do joins and queries, you go with the Postgres API. So we help Narvar basically get that database consolidation, help them with much lower cost of ownership when it comes to running this platform. And at the same time, helping them handle the peak Black Friday and Cyber Monday scale events as well, where the traffic for all these retailers would increase by 4 to 5x. And they're able to easily scale up their data platform, meet their end experiences, and then scale down the data platform once all the Cyber Monday and the traffic is gone overall. So providing seamless customer experience with a lower total cost of ownership became the prime thing for Narvar to go and scale their business as well. And again, we've been fortunate enough to work with them and help them achieve their business goal in this process as well. Again, folks, if you're interested in hearing more about Narvar, Their CTO, Ram Ravichandran, actually spoke at one of our conferences back in 2020, and the video is available. We are happy to share the link with you on in their own words, how they went through digital transformation and how has Yugabyte helped them achieve this total lower cost of ownership with their database solution. So, Michael, I hope that helps you in terms of like increasing efficiency when it comes to running their own businesses with a new data tier as well.
Yeah, I mean that's great. And I know. I mean that story. I mean being able to lower that TCO while still getting the benefits of distribution and all these other benefits and performance. It's kind of the and that we're always after. You get this and this. So again, we talk a lot about no trade-offs. So you talk about having either Cassandra, relational, non-relational. You have the best of both worlds, and that's really a common theme as you look into what we're doing. It's just trying to combine those. I want to stay on this topic for just another second. I know I want to kind of keep going to looking at time, but there's another great story. This is probably one of my favorite stories. Is I joined the company talking about the importance of consistent data and the level and kind of the role that can play in driving profitability and helping kind of retailers be successful. Let's share that with the audience because I love this story.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you take a look at this slide, right, Michael, and if you want, I can move the next slide. Yeah. So folks, we work with a very large retailer. Think of it as like, a top 5 global retailer who basically came to us with a very strategic business problem. That is, how do you ensure that, the data that you have in different data centers across the US, so let's say like, East Coast, West Coast, and South, how do you make sure the data is strongly consistent across all these regions so that whenever you're doing shopping, you get the same system of record style data without having to go through like, reconciliation of data across different data centers. So essentially a data replication, data rebalancing kind of a business problem. So before Yugabyte, this retailer would they would provide local experiences through their local data centers and then do a reconciliation job to make sure like, the inventory count and the warehouse counts remain the same. But this only works for normal day. But let's say you're doing a huge product launch when you basically get into a scenario where you have very low inventory count left for that product, then you're bound to get into a situation where you have a mismatch between the counts between the different data centers and the reconciliation job hasn't kicked in. And there are certain experiences where customers would be like, hey, I tried to buy this product and I completed the checkout, but I got an email saying that the product doesn't exist in their stock, right? So to avoid those kind of situations, this customer basically came to us with a business problem that help us deploy a geo-distributed topology of Yugabyte, which can do like strongly consistent system of record style data use case across 3 different data centers in the US. And we basically help them achieve that because Yugabyte, with combination of Raft as a consensus algorithm and a customized RockDB, as we call it, a document DB store, we help provide a transactional, strongly consistent data tier, even across multiple geographies. And this is what we tapped into. We ensured that this customer was able to meet their business SLA and provide a seamless customer experience by providing this geo-distributed topology on top of Yugabyte as well. Now, they chose to run it on their own Azure environment. That is, Yugabyte also provides you a Yugabyte platform product, which helps you run your own Yugabyte as a service internally. So you don't have to worry about any data compliance or security requirements because we give you the hooks to go and operate Yugabyte at scale, and your entire operations and your entire data is stored on your data centers or your own VPCs as well. So with this customer, we tried a couple of different geo-distributed topologies to do more latency sensitive, high throughput reads on a local data center, but at the same time providing that global consistency as well. And we're going to tap into this use case again, Michael, when we talk about the modernization effort as well. But again, folks, keep in mind that, if you're doing huge product launches, the data correctness becomes one of the most important thing for your architecture, because you need to provide that core system of record style data consistency to our end user. And if something is out of stock, you need to go and make sure it's available right there, as opposed to providing a bad customer experience after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all hate getting that your order has been canceled or suddenly your shipping has been reset to 10 weeks out or something crazy like that, which just happened to me the other week. And it's frustrating. So that data, that accurate data, again, it goes back to that common thing we talked about front, that having that right data at hand is critical. Awesome. Okay, let's keep moving. I want to jump into our third topic here, and looking at our poll again. This hopped up to kind of number 2 in the poll, and that's building trust and availability. And this is so important, especially again with e-commerce and all the online shopping that's happening right now. And I mean, actually, let me kick this off because I found a great stat that I want to share. I don't know if you've seen this yet. We didn't talk about this too much, but Gartner put out a great stat in one of their surveys the other year in their top 10 strategic technology trends report, where they showed that digital trustworthy companies generate 20% more profits online than untrusted sites. And actually, when I saw this stat, I was like, that if I get pushed to some random retail site that I don't trust or that doesn't use Google Pay, again, my preferred way of paying, I'm definitely less likely to shop there. And the more you hear about kind of theft and everything, it's important. So building that trust, having that again, that kind of security built in, and building that loyalty, that following where people know and trust and are comfortable buying from you is extremely important. So again, let's go back to the role of the data layer as we think about kind of what we're doing at the database layer. How are we helping retail companies build that trust, making sure they're available and building that loyalty within their customer base?
Yeah. So Michael, remember as we talked about the strong consistency, the accuracy of data, that basically builds trust. I mean, that is first step to ensuring that, your customer comes back to you for repeat businesses. You provide them appealing offers and coupon codes and making sure they're able to get hooked onto your deals and continue to get you their businesses through providing seamless customer experience. So that's number one. And that also helps you basically go from a local retail store to more geographically distributed global retail store as well. And if you take a look at certain examples, there are certain retailers who just got started 3 years ago. And I just saw one news yesterday that, there's a retailer who started in 2020 and it's already shipping the product to 195 countries. That's completely based on the accuracy of data that they provided. And more importantly, that seamless customer experience when it comes to the trust and the loyalty and repeat business as well. But when you look at the other side of things here, that is, how do you ensure that your data tier is available even in the worst possible disaster scenarios? So let's say the cloud outage, like the East Coast backbone of Amazon went down sometime in Amazon Web Services went down sometime in December. It caused some outage to some companies, but how do you ensure that your data tier is resilient to such outages so that even in case of a disaster, your customers can still continue doing their transactions and having those checkout experiences? I think investing in your data tier with that mindset helps us a lot overall, right? And that's a primary thing, in Yugabyte, we build the product so that you can actually provide that strongly consistent data tier across multiple geographies, or you can provide low latency reads in a very local region. We call it follow reads or read replicas kind of topologies as well. Or you can do just if you have an edge location and a retail hub location, then you can do data reconciliation between each of them in a real-time fashion, as opposed to a batch once in a day kind of a fashion. And that's the exact demo we're going to take a look at today. That is how you power a new retail application with a online presence as well as a physical store presence, and how do you reconcile data to ensuring that you can create more deals and coupons and repeated customer experiences as well. So that's one part of it. The second and the most important part of it is security of data. That is, as you said, you might find a deal through Google search on one of the websites, but if you don't see HTTPS being used, or their certificate has failed, or they don't have Google Pay or PayPal experiences, most likely, Michael, you're not going to buy any products from that website, right? So that's another way to build trust. That is ensuring that you protect customers' data, or protect customers' privacy. You adhere and comply with the local jurisdiction rules for data compliance as well. That's the first and the most important step to start building customer experiences and customer trust as well. So if you look at one of the slides actually that Yugabyte basically has, I just quickly go to that one slide again. That is, the security features that we provide are basically the enterprise hardened security features that any enterprises would need to go and provide the solution at scale to their end customers. So starts with providing encryption at rest, encryption in transit, having ability to bring your own keys and certificates as well. We provide those things out of the box. Now, You also want to ensure that, your operations team is logging all the activity from database standpoint, so that given a case, you should be able to provide that audit report and ensuring that, hey, these are the instances where the developer touched we had to take a look at certain code or take a look at logs and things like that. More importantly, having robust set of access controls, like role-based access controls backed by Active Directory or a Kerberos authentication, really helps you gaining the trust as well internally in your organization with respect to rolling out such a large solution. And the most important thing that Yugabyte really focuses on is ensuring that your code, the software quality and the code is completely audited by a third-party solution, so that you can go and do security checks and validations and meet those compliance requirements that are set for these enterprise customers to go and make the solution scalable as well. So security, having the data correctness, and having essentially that global footprint of data in case of a disaster becomes important. So Michael, the last thing I was going to talk to you about, remember last year during January, we had a huge outage for some of the most popular websites and businesses because of the Texas snowstorm. I didn't really think that Texas would ever have a snowstorm and a power outage for 4.5 days. But one of our customers who were running one part of Yugabyte data center in Texas basically had faced this situation as well. That is, all of their data centers on all the applications powered through that data center went down in matter of seconds. And that happened, the outage lasted for 4.5 days. But Yugabyte was able to tolerate that disaster and continue to provide a seamless customer experience because Yugabyte is deployed in a multi-region, strongly consistent fashion. So we have 3 replicas of data across, still providing strong consistency. And the way we built Yugabyte as a database was that in case of failure of one of the data centers, in this case, Texas, and you see that large snowstorm icon in there, we basically provide this customer no data loss, that is RPO, that is recovery point of 0, even if they lost the entire Texas data center at given point. And the time it took for us to recover, rebalance the traffic from the Texas to other East Coast and West Coast data center in real-time fashion was about 3 seconds. So when you put the computer science cap here in picture here, Yugabyte is a CP database with trade-off on availability for not more than 3 seconds, which is something that, for those 3 seconds, our application driver handles retrying logic, and we ensure that, the connections go to East and West Coast in this case, and ensuring your customers basically have that seamless customer experience without performance degradation, without any loss of data, and more importantly, without any downtime. So we are pretty proud of this fact that, this is something that's capable because of technology today, as opposed to doing your own manual rebalancing, going to your load balancers and figuring out what's the real copy of data. So you as an operator or a business owner does not have to spend time doing all of that. You rely on a core database technology, a distributed database in this case, to handle all these things for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I grew up in Texas and saw those pictures from friends, and I never imagined the weather. So if nothing else we've learned in the past few years, you can't plan for weather. Pandemic throws everything. The world is just ever changing. So we got to be ready. Which to me, again, perfect segue maybe to that final bucket, that kind of superset idea of helping retailers embrace modernization. So we've talked about experiences. We've talked about that efficiency of the business. We've talked about trust and the importance of that, and the different angles of it, both from a security standpoint and from availability. But let's kind of wrap up then just with this uber bucket of modernization. And to me, this comes maybe more from the retailers out there that probably have an established business. You've got a strong, loyal customer base, and you're trying to navigate this world of reacting to some of the competition you're seeing, but also still understand that you need to kind of keep bringing along kind of what you've been doing because there's a reason you have a strong customer base. So as we think about those businesses that are looking to change and evolve their business and kind of accelerate their digital strategy, what are you seeing them do? What kind of should be top of mind for them? What do you see them be successful in order to remain competitive and to continue to grow that business?
Yeah. And Michael, this is a very, very interesting question, right? Because there are a number of key capabilities that are top of mind for any customer executive that think through like the bigger umbrella of like modernization in general. And the reason you do go through modernization effort every so often, or like maybe once or twice in a decade, is because you need to basically go through the trends that industry is going through. So if you look at the latest trend today, it's the multi-cloud. That is essentially like, how you can accelerate your multi-cloud strategy for global expansion, how you can provide those seamless customer experiences, even if the entire cloud is out at a given point in time, right? It has never happened, but it is possible. So how do you provide insurance against like, an entire cloud failure and help customers go through a multi-cloud strategy as well? That's an important initiative in modernization. The second one that we see as a new trend is providing that digital native experience at the far edge location. So think of it as, providing that cloud native shopping experience, even in your retail store. Like Target does that, Chick-fil-A does that, right? A lot of retailers have gone through this, tapping into new products or new technologies like Kubernetes, so that you can do local transactions in a store, and then send that data to like the customer hub location as well. So edge expansion becomes really, really important. And third thing, keeping again the worker experience and your developer and operator experience in mind, how do you provide that seamless data pipeline so that they can scale up and scale down when you're opening new retail stores, or you're doing new business initiatives, you're opening a new retail website and things like that. So how scalable are your data pipelines and data tiers to go and achieve that at scale as well? So if you take a look at these things and you put that on paper, these are the things that, like a typical retail company who has really large footprint in the industry and is now on the way to achieve modernization goes through. That is, they would have monolithic style applications or databases which were handling good amount of business before. They would start going and breaking out those monoliths into microservices so that they're more scalable and resilient and can easily scale up and scale down based on the business function, like authentication, authorization, checkout service, shopping service, those kind of thing, right? It also goes back to like having better POS checkout experiences, using your Google phone or using your Google Pay or Apple Pay basically to provide that digital experiences. At the same time, getting receipts through text messages as opposed to printing them out and customers losing them and filing for like, RMA kind of a thing. So to do that, what we as Yugabyte do is we provide you a complete set of experiences and complete set of professional services working with our own teams as well as our partners to take your monolith database and helping you get through modernization by doing minimal schema changes, because we are Postgres compatible, and we will provide those optimizations to do a geo-distributed style topology on public cloud, private clouds, or even hybrid clouds for that matter. Because as I said, we were born in the cloud native era, so we are very platform agnostic. You can run it on bare metal, virtual machines, or containers with the same exact experience. And you can take it one step further by basically saying that, let Yugabyte handle the entire data experience for me by going to cloud.yugabyte.com, spinning up the clusters and scaling up, scaled down based on my peak demand that comes from my enterprise customers as well. So this is very important because Yugabyte teams would take care of your data migrations, providing you the best practices when it comes to schema designs and queries and things like that as well. But as a retailer, when you go through this modernization experience, you keep that digital native experience in mind and leveraging the same technology stack with minimal code changes. And that is what Yugabyte basically provides you in this whole thing. Now, again, we do this for a lot of customers, a lot of case studies out there on our websites and other forums and our conference talks. So folks, feel free to go through our Distributed SQL Summit that we did 2 weeks ago, and you'll hear a lot of modernization stories as part of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. I mean, I think that's a great way to kind of close on the 4 priorities and think about this modernization. I think with that then, and looking at the time, we promised the audience we'd show them this live, and it's stop talking for at least part of this. So let's do this. Let's jump into the demo and let's see kind of how we can take this modern data layer and apply it to kind of a real world retail scenario.
Perfect. And Michael, this is one other thing, like, as an open source company, we truly believe in sharing our code and experiences with all our customers and developers and users. So folks, this demo, which it's basically a next gen point of sale retail application that we have created. The entire demo is available on our GitHub. So if you go to github.com/Yugabyte, you should star and clone that repo if you want. And then you'll see this basically demo application sitting there as well. So what we have tried to do is simulate a new retail store application that is thinking like, this has basically a microservices driven architecture, the way you saw it on the embracing modernization slide. That is, every single business function would have its own microservice, like a product, a shopping cart, a shopping checkout kind of a thing. And it's backed by its own set of database schemas and database tables and things like that, like products and orders and things like that. And the topology is something like this. That is, there's going to be a cloud hub, which runs on, which is backed by Yugabyte Cloud, which is storing all of your data. And there's a hub application which just keeps track of like, how's my business doing overall? Like, how many products, how many stores I'm running and things like that. Then there is a retail store, which basically is further down, let's say like, one of the suburbs in San Francisco Bay Area, which is basically running Yugabyte on a local instance of Kubernetes. In this case, we deployed on Google Anthos basically. And it's doing a asynchronous data replication between the cloud hub and the retail store. And the third thing, you also have an online store, which is basically like, your own, like, let's say, think of it as Kohls or Kroger. You have a retail store as well as online experience, which in this case, we deployed on top of Yugabyte DB and managed and deployed on top of Google Cloud Platform as well. So taking this as a business case study, let's look at what all we can do. So let's say you have millions and millions of products in your catalog, and let's say you want to give out one of the products for a deal, or just launch a deal or offer on one of the products. You can quickly do a price markdown through your cloud hub. That offer now gets propagated quickly enough to all of your retail stores and online stores, and you'll see you're going to see the price effect taking place without any confusion, without any delay for your end customers. So they get the offers right away, they get the inventory count right away, they can go and purchase that without any issues. And the second thing is just to demonstrate the fact that you also have data coming from these remote locations back into Yugabyte Cloud Hub as well. You can do your purchases in retail stores or online stores and make sure that data is procured back to the online hub so that you can take accurate track of the orders that are happening in your business as well. So let's take a look at this demo in real time. That is, in the interest of time, we recorded this demo running on Yugabyte Cloud. So you can go to cloud.yugabyte.com today, sign up for a free tier of Yugabyte and start experiencing or even try out this demo right away. So with that, Michael, I'm hoping you're able to hear me. So folks, this is a cloud native application that we have built. It's built in React, so React.js. Just like any other retailer, you can see like, it has a category of products like books, music, retail, whatever a retailer would do. So we deployed 3 instances of this app. As you can imagine, the topology, there's an online hub, there's a retail store app, which is tab number 2, and tab number 3 in this case is the online app itself, wherein like, people can go and purchase their product. And the CLI version of it, remember the color coding, the blue was the online hub that I had there. The green is a physical store location, and then the yellow CLI I have is my online retail store experience that a person would do. Now, we have loaded like bunch of products in this on this even the sample application. So when you take a look at our GitHub, you'll see at least 10,000 odd products looking into this. But when I do this simple query and look for like what kind of products are available, I just basically focus on, let's say, for the demo for one of the products. So let's say the first one, which is a Latin dictionary. That is what I'm looking at right now. It basically has a simple SKU. It has a name for the product, which is a simple metadata. I have a price for that, and I have the inventory count in my hub. Because if you recall, I'm looking at the hub view of my demo right now. Right now, when I go back to my website in this case. And let's make sure the product also exists in my retail store, just in case, so that people in the retail store can also buy that product, as well as in my online store as well. So I just do the same query 3 different times, make sure that my product actually exists, that dictionary that I'm looking for in all of these stores. And you can scale up this whole thing to like hundreds of retail stores if you want. Now, going to my online hub, let's take a look at like hey, what is this product about? Okay, it's a dictionary. I can basically go and see the price, the metadata, everything around that. So it's for $158.74. I have an option to add it to the cart if needed. Now let's do this. Let's create a quick offer. Let's give this product for on a deal to all of our customers for just $100. Okay. So I go and update this record, a simple SQL query, because Yugabyte is Postgres compliant. You do this query, the product price is now updated in the online hub, as you can imagine. I go refresh the online hub, I see $100 being reflected instantaneously. But this offer also now got propagated to all of my retail stores. So my retail store now shows $100. My online store also shows $100. So in a matter of few milliseconds, I was able to control and go launch a new deal on a product by just changing the price in my online hub and getting that data propagated to all of my stores. Now, imagine if you're a large retail conglomerate and you have 5,000 such stores, you can do this at click of a button and go provide that deal experience to all of your retail stores without any data reconciliation, without any bad jobs which happen overnight and things like that. So a very real-time experience that you provided right here, right? And that's just a simple demo that you folks can do going to this GitHub today as well. Now let's take a look at the second demo. Let's go and actually buy this product from one of my retail store. So as you see, I am buying it through my tab number 2. I go add this product to my shopping cart. Pretty simple. You click on checkout here. It's a transactional asset compliant checkout because Yugabyte is an asset compliant database underneath, right? So I perform the checkout. Now let's go back to the retail store. That is the green window here. And let's make sure that this order actually went through in my database and my inventory count in that retail store has reduced. So I do go through order history. I see the order was actually performed and making sure that, the current timestamp and everything are done correctly. That is, the order actually went at the correct time without any issues. And I see yes, the timestamp matches, the order went through perfectly fine. So that at least validates, the transaction completed, the order was perfectly done, at least at the retail store. Now, if I take a look at the same thing and make sure that this order is recorded even in my online hub, that is, my online hub also reflects that, so if you see in the retail store, there is a decrement of by 1, a count of 1 for that specific item. But if I go to my online store and look at order history for all my stores, I see this order from the retail store now being propagated and reported in my online hub as well. So this is just one other way that, we wanted to demonstrate that any activity that you do in your physical store as well as an online store also gets propagated back to your online hub so that your data analysts can go through other scenarios and making sure if you need to restock this product, you need to create new deals on top of this, or you need to send out a low item inventory notification to your customers, you can do that as well. So just another way to provide a next generation retail application. All of this is open source. You folks can go and try out today on Yugabyte Cloud, as well as get this application for our GitHub as well. So with that, Michael, I know we are almost out of time. I promised you a demo in 5 minutes, and I hope I did that.
Awesome, Ami. That was great. I love closing with the demo and seeing the product. Just hopefully inspire some folks to go out there. Again, cloud.yugabyte.com. You can get an environment. You can start playing with it for free. Get your hands dirty as deep as you want to go. So that's exciting. So with that, Ami, let me just kind of wrap up here. Again, a big thank you to you for taking the time. Really appreciate you sharing the insights, all of the learnings we've taken from those great retail customers. Hopefully, we've given our audience out there, other organizations, some insights into, again, how they can think about what role that database, that modern data layer plays across those business priorities. Whether you're thinking about, again, experiences, which seem to be top of mind for a lot of folks, or security and trust, efficiency, or again, this broad bucket of modernization. So thank you for everyone for tuning in today. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us on our Slack channel anytime. You can jump to cloud.yugabyte.com to check it out. And we really appreciate it. With that, Cody, let me turn it back over to you to close out for today.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Cody.
Awesome. And thank you, Michael and Ame, for taking the time to join us, for putting together your demo, and for spending a full hour with us. So I really appreciate the time that goes into these webinars. Thank you so much. I'd like to quickly remind our audience that today's session was recorded. You'll be receiving a link with an You'll be receiving a link via email to access the recording on demand. You can also find the recording living on the DevOps website at devops.com/webinars and look in the on-demand section. We'll try to have this one up as soon as possible. So to our 4 winners of our $25 Amazon gift card drawing, our first winner is Vishnu V. Our second winner is William S. Our third winner is Kayla R. And our fourth and final winner is Ninad B. So congratulations to the 4 of you. Keep an eye on your inbox to claim that gift card. And if you don't receive an email, just check your spam folder. I would like to thank Yugabyte for sponsoring today's webinar. And as always, my final thanks goes to you, our audience. Sincerely, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We just ask for one more moment for you to fill out a post-webinar survey, but we hope to see you at a future Techstrong Learning webinar. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
Cool. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.